Because the day is coming, the Messiah is close. You can see the time folded and the Messiah is close.
Brother Amun is here.
Just got it. Wahoo back, Brother Amun. Hold on. Let everybody know I'm here.
Got a little president. Wahoo back.
All right. How you all doing this evening, the family? I'm glad to be here with you. We need everybody recording the classes as well. Hope you have 1,000 questions. We're going to do a lot of discovery and question and answer about the new heaven and the new earth, about heaven and what the realities of it and what to expect, right? The real thing. And I'll be coming from a place of experience, personal experience on that. So, okay. All right. I hope it's clear wherever you all are at, and I hope everybody brought new people to class. And I hope you have 1,000 questions, and may they all be relevant and germane to your journey. I want to open up by saying I love you all, but I think that's something that you already know. If you don't, you'll soon discover it. Okay, so who has that first spiritual experience they'd like to share with the rest of us?
We're going to be moving the moon and stars at 10.
I was out there about half an hour ago, moving them myself.
All right, this is, hi Brother Amun, this is Anitra. I just,
how are you?
Anitra.
I'm wonderful.
Very good.
Yeah, I shared it with Daryl Brown, and he told me you got to share this with the call. So a couple of nights ago, I was, I had experience a couple of nights ago, was, sleeping, of course. I felt like I was in a dream. And then I started to feel in that dream my entire body traveling, through, and it was like, I just felt like this pull through the bathroom, and it was sudden, but it didn't take long. And then I was in a fetal position, then I could feel myself rising up. And then just when I realizing it was like a suction feeling, at the time with that little wind, but I looked up and I looked.
Okay, you felt wait a minute, how strong was the wind?
It was very mild. It was suction feeling, very mild suction.
Yes, I understand. Go ahead.
And then I started rising up, and then I went, as I got looking up above my head, I'm looking at this white, bright cloud, and it was you could see through the cloud a little bit, a little hole like whatever.
Was it daytime?
It was nighttime, but it was nighttime above my house.
Well, let me tell you, that wasn't a cloud. That wasn't a cloud. That's a craft.
So, well, let me tell you. So as I got to it, okay, thank you. As I approached it, it was a craft. And
I know.
The closer I got to it, and then all of a sudden, I'm so excited. Now I have no fear. I felt.
I understand.
And I started waving at them like really fast. I was like, "Hi!" I was so happy, and they waved back at me. They waved back at me, and then I said,
"Tell me what they look like."
Okay, I couldn't see their. I know they were like different. They were sitting down. I could tell they were sitting down. They had suits on. Like I could see silver and white and different things, but it didn't look like they were in nothing dark. Everything was like bright. And I saw the silvery
kind of. They were in. You're not talking about their skin was bright.
No. I didn't. Okay, they were not. Yeah, their skin was not. No. They looked. They could have been.
I'm not trying to put it under your mind. I'm saying what color do they appear to be?
I couldn't see their faces close up because I was kind of a distance, but I could see their hands, hand movements, gestures. And then I could see it's like I couldn't see their exact faces, but I could see they had faces, of course. But it was so it was kind of like far away because they were in the window, and they were all lined up.
If you had to say, do you think they were black or white?
No, I felt that I was familiar with them. I was happy to see them. So it had to be someone that I was.
You saw your own image in like this kind of.
Yeah, it was an excitement, and I was waving, and they waved back at me like, "Oh, okay," So that was it.
Did they have a humanoid appearance, or did they look like graves or something?
They had human.
And when you say suit, you don't mean like Jason Brothers.
Or was it more like uniforms?
Yeah, they had uniform suits. They had suits on like that.
Right, exactly. I got you. Right. The craft, what shape was it, if you can remember?
Okay, so it was a big like donut, but it was huge glass window. There was like you can see them. I could see like a line of them, like from one end to the other end, and they were all looking through the window. They were sitting. Looked like.
Now wait a minute. Was this a cigar-shaped thing, or was it round? You said it was round like a cigar, like a donut, though, right?
Donut. It was like a donut kind of thing. Yeah, but I was only approaching the front end of it. I didn't get to see the
Okay,
side.
so you weren't at the bottom. You weren't at the bottom.
No. When I realized it, I was in the front of it, and I'm looking right at. They're all looking at me. There could have been maybe 10 of them, all from one end to the other. They didn't look like they were all the same height, or, they were different sizes. They didn't look like the same, exactly the same.
Mm-hmm. I knew that about you. You know that. I knew that about you.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I knew that about you. I did.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not surprised at all. Now, let me tell you what I meant by I knew that wasn't a cloud.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is that they were interdimensional beings, right? Mm-hmm. You have intergalactic beings. That means they could be from Mars or another galaxy, but they're on the same plane, on the third plane. You follow what I mean? But interdimensional beings could be from the 5th, 6th, or the 9th dimension.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So they're not really visible with human eyes if you look at them, even if they're in front of you, because they vibrate on a higher frequency. Like,
right.
But what they can do, let me explain what they can do. If they want to, like angels, if they want to appear here on this plane, they just simply slow down their vibrations. And as they slow down their vibrations, it's the reverse of this. Again, the same thing. If you take a simple substance like H2O, water, at room temperature, it's a liquid, it's affected by gravity, you can see it. But when you put it in the freezer and slow down the vibration, it coagulates, so it congeals and hardens like a solid substance, like bone and teeth or ice. But if you put it on a pot under a high fire, it'll start vibrating fast. See how it turns? Vibrating. And then that vibration makes it convert from a liquid into a spirit or a steam, a cloud, a gas. Right? And if you leave it on long enough, you can't even see the cloud or the steam. You see there's nothing in there. Now put that in reverse. I'm showing you how people make the ascension. That's what you were doing. You ascended up, like from ice to water to steam to,
The very fact that you were taken up through the closed window is evidence that you were taken up in the real Trinity, the Ankh, Ba, and Ka, the soul, spirit, and ether. I have personal knowledge of this from 326.13, being taken up. Revisit my class, My Gateway, Vortex, and also Panababia Amun's class, My Journey, 324.13.
But they met you partway, and they descended because they were vibrating higher. And they slowed down their vibrations and cooled off.
Yeah.
And so the first visible sign would be steam or cloud or mist. I frequently see like mist beings between me and other people, especially if the beings are negative. I don't always say it, but they're here to try to change the polarity in the environment from negative to positive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you see that cloud, that is real beings in a solid craft in their dimension, but they're slowing down so that you can perceive or see them or make them out clearly here on this plane.
Right. I could see that.
Right.
I can see that, yeah. Because it was clear enough to see they were wearing stuff. It's clear enough to see that they were waving. Clear enough to see the window that they were all sitting behind. I just didn't take...
Why don't you take your video camera? No, I'm just playing with you. I know you so happy. I'm happy for you. I know you're excited still. And you should let that stand. I know that's in your mind. You be thinking about when you're driving, when you're walking, and when you just stand out the window. It's like sometimes I know it's on your mind. But that was a divine encounter, you see.
It was.
That's a strong indicator.
Yeah.
And you should be a lot closer. Stay a lot closer.
Right.
Don't
I've
drift
seen
off
it before,
like that.
but not like this. I've seen in a dream. I waved
I
again.
believe that. It wasn't a dream.
Yeah.
No, it's not a dream.
No.
No.
She meant to say, also tell them about when you open window, that you never open the window.
I didn't open the window. My daughter, so what happened was I got to use the restroom, later on, and I said, wait. And I didn't really think about the dream the moment. When you're waking up,
you saw the window was open. You noticed it was open.
The bathroom window, I said, wait a minute. It scared me for a minute. I go, why is this window open? Who touched it? And I had to touch it. And then that's when I realized, okay, the screen is on, so nobody tried to break in here. And then I asked my daughter, I said, and later on I said, my daughter, you know, I said, Artina, when you came in my room, did you open my bathroom window? She said, she did, and she normally doesn't do that. And so that window was open.
Yet you say your screen was still shut intact and nobody tried to break in. So you had to be taken through the screen. Follow? Further afterwards, you asked your daughter, did she open the window? And she said, yes, she did. I was standing there excitement because very recently, a couple of months ago, I had one while I was outside moving stars and moon for the family, parked across the street behind trees with a big bright light. And everything I asked her to do, rise up to the top of the trees, float over to the porch, it did everything. The brother filming it got 80% of it, but he got nervous and dropped the camera when it passed directly over our heads. So low that if they'd have put their hands out the window, they could have gave us that. And yes, I have the video footage. Now back to your experience as far as walls and windows, etc.
You don't realize you can go through it.
Yeah,
you see?
That's right.
But you can.
It was real. It felt real. Everything was real.
Yes, it was realer than this. It's realer than this. That was realer than this is. What you hear now with us. That was realer.
Yeah, and it felt good. I was happy.
I know it did.
So can I share?
No, you don't be shy. You remember, see what it is that what these beings are your family. And they're reminding you of a genetic agreement that you have, a genetic agreement. And they're trying to calm you down by gradually making their presence known to you in a way that won't cause you to be shocked or your adrenaline to rise. You know what I mean?
That's good, yeah.
So that you can just calm down and just and understand, you know, that they're here for you.
Okay.
You know? And it's almost time to go home because this place is folding up. You can
I think
tell
that's what I was excited about because I felt like that too. I'm kind of, you know, how you get tired of this place. You know,
I know it. I've been that way, and it's too slow for one thing, and they're far too negative and evil.
Yeah.
They're too negative and evil. I mean, these things are not people; they're creatures.
Yeah, they are.
Yes, they are.
Also, I hope everybody has pretty fair weather where you are, and I'm asking all disciples, you know, of the evolving 144,000 to move planets, stars, and the moon if you can see it tonight for the rest of the world because it's cloudy and rainy where we are, but of course I'll move them again through the ceiling and through the dark sky too, but I do need you all to continuously step up so people can be very clear that this is not a one-man show about Amun or this or that and the other like it's been in the past about one central figure that's charismatic to a group and everybody else is what? I don't know. There is no bigger small in the eye of all, and said I not unto thee that ye are gods. And all of you are children of the Most High. All right, now, what is that first question?
I got a question for you, Brother Amun.
Hey, I'm glad to hear your vibration. Love you. Go ahead.
Love you too. My question is, I still be this being the realm of opposites and saying that we know that someone is possessed by negative spirits. Does that mean somebody can also be possessed by good spirits?
Yes. Let me try to explain it like this. We all continuously create our own reality, and it fluctuates second by second, billions of times a second, and it's driven by our intentions and our thoughts. Right? Are you following me? So, whenever we have lofty thoughts, or high vibratory thoughts, we think about heavenly things. That's why I say it's so important to get these spiritual packages and to listen to these DVDs and CDs all night and every day. It's your psychic self-defense, even when you're driving in the car or walking. All right? When you have positive, uplifting thoughts continuously, what happens is there's a shift in your aura and the frequency pattern and even in the colors. You know, you start having a lot of blue and at the lowest green and violet, you know, and yellow for pure consciousness, you know. But you don't have like amber and red and those type of things. And some beings are so negative that if you ever see a being walk in and they have like a brown or gray
aura, prepare for fight or flight. Now, as another loving gift, here's a short exercise that'll help you to initiate the use of your third eye to read auras. Sit across from a person at a bright kitchen table, for example, with a bright light, and stare straight at their nose. And what you do is, with the peripheral of your vision, you'll be able to see the outline of their aura about an inch away from around their face and head. If you have trouble doing it, then just raise your vision up a little bit to the area in their forehead where the third eye is supposed to be, even though it's in the center of your brain, and it might become clearer to you. And you have to also understand, but never look directly at the aura because it'll disappear, because you have a curvature in your iris that allows you to see peripherally things that you can't see looking direct on in the spiritual realm. Peace.
Or like a black, if you see a gray aura, it's get out the way quick if you don't want to commit murder, because the being is there to kill you. You understand me? Totally destroy you. Now me, I have seen the gray aura, and I still stay around. You know what I mean? Because I know what they know not. But my point is that you're always constantly surrounded by many beings, Taheen, because everything's in the same place at the same time, just vibrating at different frequencies. So whatever matches your frequency, that's the plane that you're on, and thereby they have access to you. Are you following what I'm saying? So if you take a person that thinks evil continuously, they're always in the amber and the red shift, in the vaginal, the gonads, or abdomen or navel at best. They're always carnal, physical. That's all their thoughts. You know what I mean? Constantly revolving around that. You follow? And let me try to interject something that I think is extremely important for you all to know. A lot of people live under the misconception that pleasure, in the sense that they are familiar with it on the physical plane here.
How about this is back here? I'm sorry.
I'm glad you started to miss things earlier, my goddess. I love you, and I have something powerful to say about you that I decided to share with the rest of the people, and why you see those auras around things when you move things. I didn't want to, but I'm going to do it tonight if you remind me, please. Okay.
Yeah.
It's well, bless your soul. But I told y'all I was taking certain people. You all are going in waves. I'm not taking everybody at the same time. You know that, right? Okay.
Yeah.
It has a lot to. Well, let me say I'm taking elders first. Elders first. It'll have a lot to do with people's and your health, or a lot of things, like, or your condition. People in distressful conditions and things, and they could be young, but they're under a lot of duress or stress, if they're agreeable and good and putting everything into this that we are, their heart, mind, body, and soul, and wallet and pocketbook, their back and their everything, then I'm going to pull them out of that. Okay, now, where was I at, Taheen? Because I was trying to clarify a point, because the question you have is extremely important. You wanted to know, just like we can channel positive beings, can't we also attract negative ones as well? Yeah. Well, yes. In other words, you're creating your own heaven and hell on earth, because you have countless different earths, just like you have countless different versions of Taheen. And they fluctuate in second by second, billions of times. You've experienced Taheen standing up next to somebody, and they were just angelic. It could be man, woman, or child. You remember that. And you felt like you were in the presence of
divine.
60 seconds later, that same person made you stop and look at him real hard, because you could have swore you just felt and heard the devil. You felt right then?
Yeah.
Like who the hell are you? What are you? And then what really scares you, and is when it happens to you. When you are God 1 second, not you specifically, but and then the devil the next. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happens to a lot of people, because all energy and beings is not positive or either negative, like black or white. Many times you have what we call clashing energy in beings. And they're always confused. In fact, even the negative beings, the devils, are always confused about who and what they are, because it's hard to really face the truth about being the devil. You know what I'm saying? But you have some that are so entwined and so involved in being the devil that they wear it like a badge of honor, like Trump and some niggas and nigresses. I know. I mean, they know they're the devil, and they just, you know, they have succumbed and submit to it for whatever reason, you know. And, you know, and they, you know, it's like, oh, well, I'm the devil, whatever. You know what I mean? I'll cross that bridge when it gets to it. But now, yes, but, you know, you can change your reality into heaven or hell, Tahim, by simply changing your mind. In other words, something that I say to you all frequently, remember, the things that you look at will never, ever change until you change the way that you look at things. You follow me? So, you got to remember what you call in negative beings the devils. They're all, you know, the reason why it's always depicted that the devil is depicted as having one eye, or either winking a lot of depictions. A lot of you all have seen the devil a wink. It's the devil's wink. That's a significant, right quick to close one eye, you see. What that means is that's symbolic of seeing goodness, and then they ignore it. And if they see anything that they judge as negative, because that's what they're looking for, then they reveal it. They conceal all good. It doesn't exist. It didn't happen. They just skate over it. And they're so good at it and trained at it until they really can't see it anymore. They can't see any good in you, Tahim. They're not looking for that. I know you probably think that's crazy. Why would somebody look at me to just find out any fault they can find? Look at his feet. Look at it. Just look at his the way he walks, the way he talks, or just look. This, that, how he does that, the way he eats, or the way he does. Never. And all these beautiful, wonderful, godly attributes you have. You see? Now, when Satan looks at you, Tahim, they don't see what I see. What's really there. They see what they contrive in their mind. You follow what I'm saying? So, remember I told you all a long time ago, when you see a picture hanging on the wall, you think that you seeing the picture hanging on the wall, and that it's an inverted image inside of your mind, in the back of your brain, that's turned right side up, and then you have secretions in your brain and synapses firing off. It forms images, and if it's the rose, it articulates certain chemicals that are released so that your olfactory nerve, creates the illusion that you can smell it, and all these, and it's out there. Are you following what I'm saying, Tahim? But that's not true. The picture on the wall and the space in between is in your mind, projecting the illusion of an out there. You follow what I'm saying? So, what I'm saying is that once a person has their mind made up that you're effed up, Tahim, or that's the way they need to see, like a slave master that needs to see his slaves as property that he can treat any inhumane way, let's slow it down, inhuman way, then he's got to convince himself and all those in his orbit that you all are not human. You're only 3/5 human, and you're mostly animal. In order to allow him or her to be this ugly booger of a creature to do these horrible and dastardly things. Because if they face the truth, Tahim, that you are human, in fact, more human than them, how could they do that? How could they do that? You follow what I'm saying? So they have to pervert their image of you and their perception of you and everything involving you. Got it? Whereas that a positive being is the exact opposite. None of us are perfect, Taheen, but the positive being, they're going to look at you, and if you have any flaws or imperfections, they won't really focus on those. They drive that from their mind, but they don't even think about that. Or they think about it in a way that they can respectfully try to nudge you toward a more positive spectrum of it. In other words, try to assist you with that to turn it into something more positive, or if it's a weakness, to make it more, give it more strength. Or if it's a lack of knowledge, give you more enlightenment about it. Or if it's a financial deficit, and to try to assist you. But you follow what I'm saying, right? They try to improve the flaw or with the perceived weakness or whatever. But everything about you positive, they see it, and they see it in to the ninth power and wiffle waffles. They see it stacked up. You got me? So what's the difference in that? Remember I told you all before that you can be in a living room, Taheen, with somebody, and there's a coffee table between you, and that actually you think you would perceive, they may perceive as two of you in the room, but it's actually four, because there's the you that you see when you look down at your feet and hands, Taheen, and then there's the you that they see. And both of you may be thinking that you're seeing the same Taheen. I'm here to tell you you're not. Now, not to get off track, but let me confirm and prove the things that I say as I go. How do I know that's true? When the angel Michael was sent by the Creator to bring the holy tablets through the being you call Dwight or Malachi York. Through, not from, but through him. All right?
That being from your Creator, your scripture, your purified pages. Now, unfortunately, a perfect example of the way that the modus operandi of Satan and the way that he works and tricks people into hell. And that's an actual fact. Any of you that have been Nawabians or educated for any length of time know two facts that are consistent, and that is the return of the real Messiah to be introduced to you by the angel Michael, and for the raising of the 144,000, and that the Bible, the King James Version, is the devil's book. So you can't use it as a spine of actual facts. Wake up. Let these devils in human form talk around overlooking the Injil, which is the transliteration of the Holy Bible, or the Torah, or the Psalms of David, or who is the Nawabian Christ, or the Church of Koras, account them not. Let my words be known, and on and on and on. They know I'm here, and they know that it's our time. But again, as then leader of the Nawabians, as still Atum Ray said at the Athens Ball, you Nawabians are those fallen angels. And they have so spellbound the masses that they're afraid, literally afraid, to even come to us, call up to confirm or verify that you as my disciples are now performing miracles as only gods can do, or to pick up the holy tablets and confirm scriptures, or any of the words upon the Bab Yanun himself they contradict, with lengthy and fair-seeming explanations that, if dissected separately and really studied intensely, would be revealed to be only devilish lies. Now, that is the actual fact. But who can stand? Who has the inner courage and substance to face this beast and challenge them with real questions? Like, why don't you all just sit on a big text and have us all dial into Amun Ray's class on a night when he says he's going to move the moon or the stars, just for proof? Because you know they'll never do that, because they already know who I am. No, you being subliminally taught to and conditioned to, under the spell, to ignore me and pretend I'm here and I don't exist, just like your holy tablets, your purified scriptures, the Injil, the Torah, and so many more wonderful gifts given to you by your Creator. Your spiritual birthright, beloved, is your inheritance from Fa'u Kulum that you've been stripped of, and it's been replaced with harmonious, melodious, emotional words as you're constantly drained of your souls and money, unwittingly awaiting a balloon ceremony in hell. Holy Tablets, chapter 11, tablet 13, verses 29 through 71, with emphasis on verse 54. Then chapter 6, tablet 4, verses 168, 169. Then chapter 19, tablet 6, verses 313 through 315. Then back up a few pages in chapter 19, tablet 6, to verse 165 to 171, just for starters.
People don't seem to realize there's two distinctive births taking place because they don't know how to read the languages. They're getting King James Version, and King James was a king, not a reverend, and not a translator. He used a Roman Catholic Bible, so when they decided to do his version, he decided to leave them books out and put 66 books in and left out 6 books, 66 and 6.
Have you been so naively spellbound as to believe that this book could have any relationship to actual facts or the way to who? The Creator or hell?
Revelation chapter 13 has 18 verses, 3 times 6. They was putting a code there to let you know that you're holding the book of the devil.
Now, after 40 years of being taught and proven that the Bible is the devil's book, you use it as your actual facts and just sleepwalk through the fact that the only consistent theme since his inception here on earth has been that he was sent here to prepare you for the return of the Messiah. But these devils in human form have you so cowered down and spellbound as to be afraid to just call in on Thursday and Sunday night for 5 minutes, even if it's 5 minutes to 10, and just ask me to move whatever you see up there. You're that scared. Well, many are called. TikTok is very late. He's right. The Messiah is near. I'm here. And many of the 144,000 are with me now, raising up in the gods and performing miracles each and every day like gods and goddesses can only do, not mortals or devils. You've read testimony after testimony in audio and written by Nawabis you've known for years, even 24 elders and everything in between. But you've been so psychologically whipped and beat down and spellbound by the black devil, the fallen, that you're even afraid to seek God, even look that way. You better find your spine, because you out of time.
It's no longer holy. You know how you know that? Because Christ said, not one jot nor one tittle shall be removed from the law. Nothing should have been changed. He said, I did not come to change, but to fulfill, to complete it.
One more direct proof of their deviltry. Listen to the audio of Inky and Enlil, and you see them cover up the part where he's telling you all that I'm the real Messiah and that I'm back, the Savior. And as soon as that part is over, then they turn the music back down again instantly.
Don't believe anything I say. Take notes and check it out.
You know how to check it out. Call in the class.
You understand? People are going to hate me. Blessed is he who is persecuted after righteous name is sake. For great is his reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before him. I am not claiming to be a prophet. Let me set the record straight. I have never claimed to be the beloved Messiah, Jesus, Yeshua, or Isa and Maryam al-Masih. I am not the Messiah. Please, don't let people do that to me. Don't, oh, he calls himself Jesus. Please. There's a million Muslims with the name Isa. There's nowhere on my name anywhere where you see al-Masih. I repeat, I am not the Messiah. When one of them say that, I was talking to the man, looking right at his mouth. He said, I am not the Messiah, and I never was the Messiah, and I never will be the Messiah. I am not a prophet. I never was a prophet, and I never will be a prophet. You understand? What else must I tell you that I'm not?
Now back to your question, Taheem, and thank you all for your patience. But some things are so important, they just cannot be left unproven.
Now, you can take the Holy Tablets, but it was one thing that he repeatedly said about the Holy Tablets. Each one of you that has the Holy Tablets has your own personal scripture. That is your tablet, unlike anybody else's. It is your Holy Tablet. Now, Taheem, you're a young man with a young man with an old head, a wise thinking being. That's one of the positive things about you that I love and have noticed. Now, I would like you to tell me, how is it possible, and tell the rest of the people listening, how is it possible for us to get in a room, 144,000 of us have a holy tablet, but each one of us have our own personal book, because none of us have the same book, except all of them are identical, the same words. And when you're thinking about that, just think about, Christians that have 72 different sects of Christianity, and you could have 45 different, Jehovah's Witnesses, Seventh-day Adventists, Holy Rollers, Catholics, Presbyterians, Evangelicals, all that in one city, and all of them got the same book, but each one thinks they're going to heaven and all the rest of them going to hell. But just going back to the Holy Tablet, how is it possible for all of us to have the same Holy Tablet, but everyone is unique to you and is personalized? It belongs to you and it's your book, different from mine. Exactly, son. Yes, very wise. As I thought, as I know. Because
What did he say?
perspective, the way people perceive. In other words, if you take a classwoman, most of you were taught this in school. Your teacher gave you an example that he or she would take a piece of paper and diagram out, draw a figure, a complicated little figure on it. Not necessarily of a being, but of something, a symbol, a clear symbol. And then tell everybody to take a piece of paper in the class and a pencil, but don't show anybody else. And then the teacher would walk over to the first person on the left side of the desk and give it to him or her and say, now copy that symbol. Draw what you see, and then you keep the original symbol and pass the one you copied of it to the person next to you. Then they draw that, and it goes all the way around the whole class. Now, the person that's got the original one that the teacher drew still has that one. So, by the time when the teacher goes back and gets the last diagram or figure that was drawn by the last student, and then brings it up and puts it on the front desk, and then puts it next to the original that the first student has, when everybody passes by in line in a row and looks at them, Taheem, they don't recognize. It is nothing. It's not even remotely familiar at all. Like completely different. It's not the same thing at all. You hear me? It's because everybody's perception of what they saw was different, and it was personalized to them. A lot of people don't realize, you sisters, when you cook a pot of beans or a pot of beef stew or whatever, and you give bowls to all your company and all your children, the same rice, the same beef stew or whatever, the second they touch it, it becomes theirs through their energy, and it doesn't taste anything like yours or the person across from them. That's why, and that's what it explains, why you can have 12 people eating the same thing that you cooked, and 3 of them just don't like it. And half of them, they really enjoy it, but you got another 3 or 4 that they're just ecstatic about it. I got to have some more. Ooh, how did you? And they're going crazy. You got all these different opinions, and you're thinking to yourself, now, all of y'all, I gave all y'all the same goddamn thing. Now, how we got all these different? You mean to tell me we done went all the way from, this is the best thing I ever ate before in my life, down to you, sister, you talking about you just don't like that, you don't care for it. God damn, let me look at the bowl. Was it something? Was your spoon different or what? No. That's the way she sees the book. You got me? Now, by the same token, that same devil can look at something that's demonic and negative, very flawed, and they ignore all that, and they just create the delusion of positive and great and wonderful, and they build it up, because they have a personal battle with their own creator. They have a personal conflict with truth and reality, because they just cannot digest, they just cannot handle truth as it stands. raw, the way it really is. They just cannot handle it, Tahim. The reality is not, you ever seen what light does to a vampire? It burns them. They can't stand the truth about themselves even, the real truth. So all the horrible things about them, they look at it as strengths and I'm just unique and I'm different and all the, you know, and I'm doing my own thing or I'm creating my own reality. I'm my own God. I'm doing, no, you're the devil. You see? So you have all these beings around you, and it doesn't have to be, like spiritual entities, Tahim, on different planes and other dimensions, all this. It can be physical beings, friends and associates, strangers, and family members. It can be your woman or your child or your parent. Don't you know? They all look at you differently, even if they can't see your aura. You follow me? I'll give you an example of that that's real that a lot of people don't like to face, like parents. Mothers and fathers do not like to freely admit. They keep lying and saying, I love all my children exactly the same. I treat them and I love them exactly the same. I'm here to tell you tonight, to thine own self be true, stop lying. It's not possible for you to love two children exactly the same amount. Not possible. And, brothers and sisters get in relationships, and it's either she loves him more than he does her, or he loves her more. It's not possible. We just love each other the same. And I'm like, man, what fantasy? Y'all joking? This is not reality. One always cares more than the other. Don't you see what I mean? Now, beings that look at you, they are looking at whatever your frequency is, what channel you're in, where you tuned into. Listen to what I'm saying. And you can call them negative or positive or good or evil, but it's their frequency. It's where they are. It's the realm they dwell in. It's what's comfortable to them. It's their reality, Tahim. Are you following me? Like I said, a snake don't crawl around all day thinking, I'm a snake, I'm a snake. It's just so busy being what it is, it never thinks that much. It doesn't dwell on the fact that it's a snake. See, or neither does a God dwell on all day long, I'm a God, I'm a God, I'm a God. It's being a God, which is good, minus an O. That's all. So, wherever you were thinking, and if your confidence is not dropped, and because it's not always that you have to think negative or bad about the creator or creation or about somebody else, or even to think negative about yourself is negative, obviously, and probably the worst thing that you could ever do. And again, I want to interject something else, open another side door in this corridor of endless doors that have corridors with endless doors in it. Don't you all ever, and I repeat, don't ever, ever, ever allow yourself to see yourself through the eyes of some goddamn body else. Don't do it. It'll destroy you. It will destroy you. Especially a demon. You hear me? Because it could be your mom and daddy, and they could really love you, brother, sister, they could. And you could have been a wonderful child, but maybe you drifted and went with the wrong crowd, and through peer pressure, you did some things that they were disenchanted with, or they lost a little confidence, they thought, they were disappointed, and this, that, and the other. Now, but then you come back and you snap back to yourself, and then you become better than you were before, as good and even better, and increasingly better, and something great. But they've been conditioned with cliches like, a leopard can't change his spots, or he's, you can't fool me, and all that, I know you putting on a front, you the same as you always was, you ain't shit, you ain't never been shit, you ain't gonna never be, I'm not, I mean, this is harsh, but I'm telling y'all, and some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Some of y'all know, right here in this class, y'all know what I'm talking about. And if you really have a lot of faith in that person and a lot of belief in them and hold them in high esteem and you trust their judgment and they're venerated to you, then you start questioning and doubting. You be thinking, maybe I'm not, I might not, I guess I thought I was doing better. And then you slip gradually until you almost start fitting their image of you.
That's very true, Amun Ray. I'm going through that.
You know that's true?
Yeah.
And that's terrible. That's a tragedy. We all do it. We all do it, but to different degrees.
That's a fact.
That's why I say you got to stay away from negative beings, because there's nothing positive going to come out of it. Nothing.
That's a fact. That is an absolute fact.
It is a fact. They're going to bring you down. They have to do that. Like the slave master has to bring down your humanity in order to treat you
like a creature.
Right. So they have to have a distorted, warped view of everything that involves you.
Right.
And the positive being is going to be the exact polar opposite, Tahi. They, they're going to see you even better and higher than you are. And that's the way I look at people. People that I love, that I know are capable of making it, I see them better than they see themselves. And I am very serious about that. And one of my faults is I even see demonic brothers and sisters as the best that they can be. And I imagine what if, and the possibilities, until I convince myself that they're becoming what I see them as. This glowing, luminescent, beautiful goddess, great, mighty brother that's on a throne, that's so benevolent and good. You follow what I'm saying? And you're often very disappointed and worse, because the tragic reality is that they ain't shit and they ain't gonna never be shit. They the devil, and they're armed at your destruction. But to be clearer, Taheen, is that when we ascend up, and I want the thrust of this class to be about the new heaven and a new earth, so I want y'all to keep me focused about that, and I got some examples I want to use the Sister Zakiya for if she doesn't mind. But when you ascend to, say, the fourth or the fifth plane, Taheen, your mind is so, not your brain, but your mind is so powerful and so magnificent and so great that you actually create an environment, and I dare say the people in it, the beings in it, and your relationship to them and theirs to you, according to your vibration. And the higher you think, the higher you evolve, and you start, in other words, you start projecting a different picture on the wall and different walls until they turn gold and light, and they start being, do you understand? Because everything is coming from you, from inside you, Taheen. It comes from you. You are point zero. You are this creator. You are this axis. You are the center of your own universe, and all things are at equal distance from you. And for people that are here for the first time, if I'm not trying to befuddle you or talk in rhymes or vague parables, I mean, again, if you take a round beach ball and you put a dot on it with a black marker, nobody can dispute that that black dot is in the center of that white ball, regardless of where you put it, right? That is the center. Whenever you look at that black dot, it's the center. So that would apply to the second black dot, regardless of where you put it on the ball. It too is the center of the ball. I don't care if you put 1,000 black dots on that ball, every one of them is the center of that white ball. So for people that are thinking, how can I be the center of the universe and then the sister next to me be the center of the universe, and we standing side by side in the same universe? One of us got to be off center. No, you don't. Can people see that? All right. Now, as the center of the universe of your own, you're projecting your environment out from your center out around you. What I'm implying is that, Taheem, when you go into a dark living room in the house and there's a second floor and the light is blown, so you start out of faith, grab the banister and start walking up the stairs in the dark. Who told you that every time you reach your foot out in front of you that there's another step there for you to step on? What's your proof of that? Until you step on it. You have none. It's just belief, Simon Peter. Your faith in the fact that it's there is so strong that you actually walk on it. That's how you all are creating your reality as you go along. You continuously reproducing your own image, your own body. And when you drive a car and you're on a freeway in the dark and you could be in a desert where there's no city lights at all, no moonlight, and you can't see any further than your high beams, what makes you think that there's highway in reality beyond what you can see? Why? The reality of it is that as you drive, what you expect to be there appears because you're the observer. That's what it means by I created man and woman in my image and in my likeness. It's not about your breast and your penis. Stop it. It's not about your size or weight or your age or your it's not that. It's not anything physical. If we were all created in the image and likeness of God, then where would women and children come from? Because where would black people come from? We ain't no bald-headed white man. In other words, the image and likeness of God is not by us taking our physical body down to a church or a temple. Again, not to oversimplify matters, but your temple is the place on the side of your head next to your ears, and your eyes are windows to the soul. And that great circle at the top of your head where the 24 elders are seated, that can be seen, and a lot of medical practitioners know that with x-rays they can see that on your crown molar. They can see the 12 seats of the 24 elders there. And in the center resides you as God, inside that temple. Now, God doesn't necessarily take that throne or take that seat inside the temple or the center of that brother or sister, maybe not through their whole life or many lifetimes or forever. But that God or the real you is circumambulating your physical body, sometimes no more than 3 feet around you, constantly, all the time, patiently and compassionately waiting for you to clean house. Get those filthy, negative, lying, evil thoughts out your mind, because the Creator is divine love and will not live in that filthy house. You got people, you can say Trump, that can be living in meticulous, rich conditions with velvet and gold and everything, people to keep everything articulate, not a piece of lint any kind of way. But they don't realize that their house is filthy than a pig's pen. It's not worthy. The Creator will not go in that filthy mess, that horrible place, because their thoughts are so low and disgusting. But the Creator loves them and keeps circumambulating, just waiting for a shift, a color change, so that he or she can go in the temple and take the throne and move forward and then start creating your reality from the perspective of God, from the Most High, and from that point on, you're an inmate of heaven and not hell. I was talking to, one example that I don't know who can identify anybody that ever played solitaire on a computer before. I do it all the time. And people think it's a game I'm playing. It's not. It's a mental exercise for discipline and mental acuity and speed and accuracy and problem solving, all this. But I was telling Delonte, you know, you have to, you can get some scores sometimes that are just astronomical, off the chart, you know, something that Data or Spock couldn't achieve. And I've done that. And I remember Khadijah a lot of times used to say, how do you do that? How do you, because she's very book smart, or, you know, like a white man book, you know, memorized, you know, like that, studious, you know. These people are not educated. They're programmed, you know. Because they're not taught how to think, they're taught what to think, and they memorize that. And that's how they go to the front of the class and get their degree. A degree in bullshit. Okay, now, I told her what you have to learn how to do is get out of your own way. You have to learn to let go and let God. People don't want to let go and let God. They always want to try to problem solve and handle their business through their gray matter, through their brains, just like an animal or able. You follow me? And that thing is limited, just like everything else in the physical realm, just like your physical vision. Again, you can't see past the floors, walls, or ceiling with your physical eyes, or hear but a certain decibels for a certain distance. But you can't hear what's happening, you know, the next state over. But everybody here knows that you experienced being in a house all alone and it was very quiet, and you heard somebody 1,000 miles away that you were close to call your name. And some of you responded before you could remember that they wasn't even there. You'd be like, yeah, huh? And then the phone rings, right? They'd be like, I don't believe, I just heard you call my name. I was really thinking about you. You know that you can't see past those walls in physical eyes, but you know your third eye, or your mind's eye, not your brain's eye. Your mind's eye can see through the wall, back and forth through time, and can see things in places you've never been before in your physical memory. You know that. So that is the God in you. But what happens is that people have been conditioned and programmed to learn to trust in their instincts, and it reduces them to not much more than an animal with clothes on. They could be walking in the woods, and then all of a sudden a storm comes up, and it's torrential rains, and it's pouring down, and they know their way home, and they seek shelter, and then after the rain stops, but the water is still out there heavy, you know, they start walking the way that they came, you know, toward that little bridge over that water brook right there, and something inside their mind says, no, don't go that way, go this way. And they're like, shit, I know my way home. That's God talking. What does God know? Let me help you. Everything. But they won't let go. They won't let God. I swear to Jesus, they will not trust. They're going to go ahead the way that they calculated in their own smart, they think, mind. See, it's a lot of them. They're real smart. They just ain't got no goddamn sense. And then, by the time it's almost dark, they get down to the bridge and they find out what? It's flooded out and there's no way possible that they can cross it. Happens to people in life and a lot of different scenarios. And what they have to do, they have to backtrack all the way back up to where they were before, when they went against God, because they wouldn't trust, they wouldn't let go, God knows what he's doing. And then they have to go the other way. But they pretend all the time that they're walking the other way home, that they didn't hear that voice tell them the first goddamn time, nigga, don't go that way. Believe in God. Because they want to trust, and they want to trust their own machinations, their own mind, their own logic, their own judgment. I know what's best for me. I know what I want. I want to go this way. No, you don't know what you want. From whence came the I want? Where'd that come from? I want to be a beautician. I want to be a fireman. I want to be this. I want to be that. You do? Were you born with that want? I like this. I don't like the way that tastes. I don't like potatoes, or I have an affinity for sauerkraut. I really love that. I don't want this and I don't want that. I understand what you're saying. You got your preferences. You don't want to eat this and you don't want to eat that, but you like this and you love that and this, that, and the other, because that's what you want and this is what you don't want. That's definitive. My question is that what if you were born in Indonesia, nigga, or China, or in Australia, or in Transylvania? What would you like and dislike then? See, so you have to recognize that at some point you've been programmed, and something, whatever force you want to call it, has given you the perception and told you what you like and what you don't like, and what you want and what you don't want, and what you need and what you don't need. Not that that's realities. It can't be, because your body's a goddamn illusion. How can your taste buds be actual facts about what you like and don't like when you don't really have a goddamn tongue, nigga? It's all in your mind. So I'm saying, use the mind of God, your higher mind, and you will always be in heaven, because God loves you more than you love yourself. All God is love, and it's divine love, and it's the only real love. It's the greatest love of all. And it's there for you. And when I see people waste it all the time, and they chase the delusion, of carnal, the devil in essence, and that what they're really doing is trading sugar for shit. But they're convinced that they know. Now, I know we got sidetracked, Taheem, but again, let me emphasize that whatever you're thinking, whatever your mood is in, your frequency of vibration, that creates a shift of vibrational mode. You can call it mood or mode, that reflects a color that's visible to beings in the spiritual realm even. And when they see the color change that's in line with their frequency, then they know they can be in the same place at the same time as you. And that's what you call possession. They can exist, they can get with that. You follow what I'm saying? There's a lot of times you can have an association with a friend, a sister could meet another sister and they could be, try to be friends and this, that. And it could work, and maybe it won't. Or two brothers can be friends, or it could be a brother and a sister, and you don't get, it could kind of way it could. But what happens is that they find out gradually that they're polar opposites. They vibrate on totally different frequencies. Don't you see what I mean? And that's impossible. That they cannot exist in the same place at the same goddamn time. I'm telling you now. You like the old Cowboys pictures, you know, they used to say, the bad guy and the sheriff, you thought, this town ain't what? It's not big enough for both of us. This town ain't big enough for both of us. See? And that's where you have these fracturing, you know, kids leaving home and running away, or that woman leaving that man leaving that woman, or whatever. Or somebody walking away from that church or that job or that situation because it's not they're not feeling that. They don't, the vibes. Are you following me? It's a different, they'll never understand, they can't set horses. Because you can't force, what do you call it? You can't force darkness into a light movement and then still keep it light and at the same time. You can't have darkness and light in the same place at the same time. You can have it in the same place, but not at the same time. You just can't do it. Because they're polar opposites. And negative and positive is like that. It just cannot exist in the same place at the same time, not comfortably. It's a hard thing to do, no matter how much they may want it to be so. It's no different than genetic scientists that are so cruel that they go out and do genetic splicing, and they create a cog or a dak. For those that don't know, they take the sperm of a cat and put it in the ovum of a dog. Again, they go out and take the sperm of a cat and put that inside with in vitro fertilization on the womb wall of a dog, a bitch, you see? And it goes term and it gives birth to it. But it's not a dog or a cat, it's a cog or a dak. Because it's both of them. And it's born in one body. That's a cruel thing to do. So when people think about, you know, and then they're polar opposites in natures, because it's nature that when dogs and cats see each other, there's an instant reaction, and we all know it's not good. It's not good. So why would any evil person, what kind of machination, what kind of demonic mind would it be to splice and put them both in the same body where they can't get away from each other? You creating a devil. You creating something in hell. It's snapping and it's changing its own tail. It's nervous. It's crazy. You got two conflicting natures in the same. It's like putting together a brother and a sister, or two people that are polar, that are opposites in nature.
And it is with sadness and great difficulty that I have to remind you that this happens far too frequently with individual people. And many times the natures are so conflicting that one tries to kill the other, and you call that suicide because they're in one body.
It's going to eventually breed contempt. You hear me? That thing might chew its own goddamn leg off.
Brother Amun, you got 5 minutes.
Okay, I love you, and I'm glad you finally made it home. But for all you disciples, please get ready to go outside and tell us what you see in Texas and in Florida and in Indiana and all these places, because I want you all to move some stars and planets for everybody again tonight, because these people have to know, even if they're conditioned by these negative forces to believe that we don't exist, indeed, the Creator's not real, and is something of mythology and from a long time ago, and folklore, and just something the paradise people made up to control you, and you know, we don't do, that's old-fashioned and all that. Let me tell you something, as long as babies being born and trees are birthing blooms and grass is green, and your black ass is breathing and your heart beating, the Creator's real.
Now, while the devil's not, tragically, far too many people try to make the devil and hell their reality or their heaven. And those are the ones that stay with the class all up right until the second that it's time to move stars and get visible proof, and then they hang the phone up. Just listen for them, you hear them. Only thing worse than that are those that are afraid to attend, period. Listen, I can understand people having fear for the devil because the devil is a low down, he's a step out to kiss a snake. But remember what I tell you, don't you ever, ever feel anything in creation more than you do the creator of it.
Every time the sun rises, it's not you making the wind blow. And none of y'all waking up every night, I got to remember to keep myself breathing, keep my heart. No, the creator's alive. Always was. And the creator's the same yesterday, today, and yes, goddamn me, tomorrow. And the creator's in you. And I want that to be expressed in this you call it a class? I call it a gathering of the souls, a gathering of the 144,000. And we all have taken part in that. Elijah Muhammad, and especially Partner Bad Yanun and myself, which we are counterparts, but he came with very, very powerful information that came through him, things that you had to learn. Some of them were tough, I would call it tough love, hard lessons, but you learned it. Just like the devils in your life. Those were hard, fast lessons, and but you learned some things. And if you take advantage of what you learn, you can actually gain from a negative experience some positive effects. So everybody that can see stars, go outside, and you don't have to be a disciple. You can be new in this class because I feel so good about y'all tonight that I may just go ahead and move some planets and stars and moons through you, brother, through you, sister, because I can, and I'm Amun, and I love you like that. When y'all just let us know what you can see, the people that can see. Please don't be lazy or be thinking, well, I did this before, I moved things before. Right. And how many times did a James Brown sing the same song on stage, but he realized that it was new to that audience, that it was the first time they saw it or heard him perform live. So he couldn't come with a lackluster performance. He had to come with the same energy every time. You ever heard that thing, the same thing it takes to get your baby going to be the same thing it takes to keep him or her? It's real. And that applies in friendships and a relationship between a parent and a child, or a friendship or a job. You can't go there the first day and work hard, and then the rest of the day you slump. Then you start slumping off. They're gonna judge you on that job by the way you perform each and every. You getting paid by what you do each and every goddamn day.
And if you ever dream of forgetting the most important relationship of all, no, don't you. Wake up and slap yourself back to sleep.
Mute your phone.
Matt Ray, the black devil, evilest and lowest of them all. Why are you so afraid for the world to know the 144,000 are gathered? They're performing miracles like gods and transforming into real gods and goddesses, just as it is written by the Creator. Why? For anyone not real or strong enough to accept the actual facts, know that by his own words that Amun Ray was scheduled to rule from 1970 to the year 2000, and from the year 2000 to 2030, August 12th, is my time, Amun Ray's time to rule. Go on YouTube or get in touch with us and listen to a piece called Let My Words Be Known, a 19-minute short DVD. Let the master teacher tell you. And just look at these distractions made by Matt Ray, this evil demon, as melodic music, Satan's Pied Piper, because blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, so you know that he's going to the kingdom of hell. Yeah, that nigga know how to get in touch with the Ku Klux Klan, but he don't fool with them because they vibrate on the same frequency.
In the name of Amun, move to the right. Move to the right in the name of Amun. Move to the right in the name of Amun. And it's moving. It's moving. Now stop. And move back to the left. Move back to the left in the name of Amun, master of the heaven and earth. Move back to the left. Now stop. Now move up. Go straight up like an elevator. Move up. Move up. Move up. Now stop. Now come back down. Come straight down like an elevator. Come back down in the name of Amun. In the name of Amun Ray, come straight down. Stop. Now, move in a circle. Move in a circle. In the name of Amun Ra, Master of the heaven and earth. Move in a circle. There it goes. Move to the circle in the name of Amun, Master of the heaven and earth. Now stop. How high?
Thank you, brothers and sisters. It's good that you acknowledge one another's greatness.
Have the next person step forward.
So bad, this is Sister Zakia. I'm going to try that same bright star. So bad. In the name of the Messiah, Amun. Move up. Move up. Move up in the name of the Messiah. Move up. In the name of the Messiah, Amun. Come down. Come down.
It's moving down.
Come down. Stop. Now move to the right. In the name of the Messiah. Move to the right.
It's moving.
One of the most obvious realities of all is that after 40 years of study with Elijah Muhammad and Padre Babianu, nobody could move stars or perform miracles. They don't have books that state how. In other words, it's a completely different religious level, that they're saying is spiritual, but it's not the Messiah. And people have to act like they don't know that.
Okay. Right. Stop. Now move to the left. Move to the left in the name of the Messiah. The anointed one. The anointed one. It's moving.
Yeah.
The next person is Sister Zakia. I'm in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Will the next disciple step forward, please?
It's been raining up here, but I can see a little light somewhere. I can't actually see stuff. I see some light in places. I'm going to try to do what I can do. For those of you that can see it, we'll see if this works. This is the first time I did this.
Move to the right. Move.
You're not alone.
Move, stop. Stop. In the name of Amun, move to the left. Move back. Move.
I'm looking at
It appears to me like it's moving. Move. Move. Stop. In the name of Amun, go up. Go up. Go.
It's going up.
Stop.
Yep, it's going up.
Stop in here.
It's
In
moving.
the name of Amun, come down. Come down. Drop.
You're not alone.
Drop.
Come
Yes.
down.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep,
Stop.
come down.
This is my favorite right here. In the name of Amun, I want you to move in circles. Move in circles. Stop. Move. Circles we go. Circle to the right.
Going. It's going.
Circle to the right. Stop. Circle to the left. Circle back. Circle back. Yes. Yes.
We had some rain here. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
This is not good. Now sit before me, can you hear me?
Oh.
And the sky is straight above. It's the brightest one straight above the head.
Yep.
The name of Amun Ray.
Yep. Yep. I'm with you, brother.
Move to the left. Move to the right.
Yep.
It's moving. It's moving.
Oh, yeah. It's moving.
Make a circle to the right. To the right. The master of heaven and earth. Amun Ray. Stop. Make a circle counterclockwise to the name of the master of heaven and earth. Amun Ray.
It's moving.
Yep. Gotta move.
Stop. That'll be it for me. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're not alone.
Stop. Move to the right. Then I'm on Ray. Yes. Stop.
Now, I won't have time to do anything tonight, but in the next class, I promise you all, part 2 of this, that I will be explaining to you very clearly how the dimensional shift works and how that we go from this old earth to the new earth. And I'll give it to you with inescapable facts and proof as usual. We're all one divine love. support. We need your donations, and these spiritual packages are really, really working. Don't get left behind.